Whoop whoop.
Yeah. All right. That was Sirens, but this is I Can Deal, non-traditional board games or NT board games. I think I'm gonna start saying that. But this is NT Board Games official podcast. Once again, I Can Deal. This is episode 30, and I'm just gonna say it's the start of season 2. Season 2. Woo! Season 2. As always, I am Adam. We have
CJ.
CJ with us.
And in this premiere, somebody's going to die.
What? No.
No, season premiere. Everybody dies. Somebody always dies in the season premiere.
That's what you do if you don't have good stories.
Is that true?
Well, Walking Dead does it all the time.
Oh yeah, Walking Dead. That's because they introduce people to kill in that show.
Yeah, so it doesn't have impact, and so I feel like if
Game
you're
of Thrones
just,
does it too.
I don't have experience of Game of Thrones. I just feel like if people come to expect someone to die, I mean, Game of Thrones is a different story because everybody dies all the time. So that doesn't count. But like Walking Dead, like no one dies except for the premiere, the mid-season finale, and the finale.
We could just be playing a game of Werewolf right now, and somebody's going to die the first night.
Yeah.
Before the game even starts, somebody dies. I never played that way. I'd never seen anybody play that way.
The first 2 times I ever played Werewolf, it was at my old townhouse doing NT Board Games meetup. I died the first 2 games. The narrator on the 3rd game says, "You can't kill Adam." Because every time I died. And I was like, oh, okay. So it's kind of put a bad taste in my mouth for Werewolf.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yes. So, but we're going to talk. That's a prime example of what we're going to talk about today. It's
frustrations in gaming.
Yeah.
This is going to be a super positive episode. Get your popcorn.
Welcome to the new year. Starting this off right, on the right track.
So we're also going to talk about, like, when you have these frustrations, how do you fix them, potentially, aside from table flipping and walking off?
See, that's why we have a big heavy table.
We do
here.
have
can't
a big
flip.
heavy table. We cannot flip this.
Like
or it
marble.
would murder one of us.
Well, you said somebody's going to die.
Somebody is going to die. We'll see who gets frustrated first.
Who gets to flip? Who is strong enough to flip this table? The other person dies. You know.
All right. So
I wanted CJ to start off of an example since he proposed the topic.
To me, like, games are always about the people that are around the table with me. It doesn't matter what I'm playing. It could even be games that I'm just never interested in playing on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why when somebody's being a fucking buzzkill, and you can put that in any different form of context. You can be like, if the guy's just being way out of line and super aggressive, or if they just aren't into it. And I'm not talking about being shy. There's a lot of people who play games that are shy. I'm okay with that.
Somebody, or maybe perhaps playing the game wrong, quote unquote.
Just not invested. Like, they're spending time on their phone instead of, like, paying attention. Like, those things bother me a lot. Like, a lot. People who just don't know how to play well with others, like, just trying to control the group, or there's a lot of personality types that just rub me wrong when playing games. Let's just put it that way.
Got it.
So some of them I think you might agree with. Some of them you're like, wow, you're just Judgy McJudgerson.
Probably. What is your number one beef?
People who don't want to be there. Like, people who are just not invested in what's going on. Games are a voluntary action.
Yeah.
Like, and if it normally requires that voluntary participation to make the game work. If somebody's not there, it might as well be an empty seat and we can play with one less player. Like, they by their apathy, they've ruined everybody's time. But I also hate the guy that this is a good question. How about you? I could go on for hours on this one.
I'm curious what just got you just
just the guy who doesn't know who who imposes himself on everybody else, who feels like everybody else is doing it wrong.
I guess that's kind of like leading into the alpha gamer.
Yeah, the alpha gamers a little bit. I understand like when people want to try and help and they want to share their idea, but like when it crosses that line to start like moving everybody else's piece, not even in a cooperative game, but
taking their turn.
I that personality type in general, like even outside of gaming, frustrates me. That type A personality just like can't let go.
I feel. I mean, my example that I threw out to you that you didn't necessarily agree with, like, I have issue of people who don't seem to play the game correctly. Like people who
Misunderstanding the rules, or
no, they understand the rules, but they choose to like
different goals.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking of one example, and it's clear in my mind. I can't think of anything else. Playing Two Rooms in a Boom, like people who just don't actively participate.
They just want to see the world burn.
Yeah, and like
I'm that guy sometimes.
I understand that's a strategy, but something about just kind of like, no, I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing anything. Nope. It feels like it ruins some of the gameplay because it's supposed to be about interacting and like maybe not share with everybody. But I know there are classes that I forgot to put in that kind of forces them, like, oh, you have to. But like people who are not, I wouldn't say necessarily. Well, I guess I'm also talking about the people who they realize they're not going to win, so they're just going to like actively work against everybody. Just not even a strategy to try to win. They're just kind of like, I'm just going to try to screw everybody over.
I can see why that's frustrating. I think that one's easier to deal with.
Yeah.
I had very similar experience like playing Secret Hitler, and for the life of me, the people I was playing with, like, even though they were liberal, would not say they were liberal. Like, and those drive me crazy because I'm like, you're acting shady as shit and you have no reason to act shady as shit. And yeah, so normally I will just wait until like that particular game's over. Those games don't last very long anyway.
True.
And then I'll like, hey, by the way, before I hand these back out, if you are liberal or even if you're a fascist, pretend to be liberal at least. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Like you don't like. Here's a tactic in which to better play, like take the game to the next level.
So you try to teach them to correct the issue.
Yeah. And generally, like those people are very accepting of that kind of feedback, because if you've never played a game before, like, or the game's particularly complex, and I know, like, Secret Hitler is pretty simple objectives, pretty simple rules. But the game's complex as hell because you've got 5 to 10 of the people around the table, and you're like, I don't know who you are, or I know exactly who you are, and I'm going to try and lie my ass off.
Yeah.
Like, the only reason that game succeeds is because it has simple rules. Because the rest of the game is really complex. And I think complexity of those kind of games shut people down to the point where, like, I'm just going to try something, anything, to fumble my way through this and not look like a fool. Which is totally cromulent. Like, that's fine. But you can teach strategy to people who have never played those games before. Like that, and that's a very easy fix. And it's like, do this. And it's kind of like somebody who's never played chess and they're playing chess for the first time. You play through them once and they're like, oh, you get slaughtered. And then you say, controlling the center of the board is one of the more important things, ideals of playing chess. And all of a sudden, like, they've learned something. They now have played the game a little bit better. So yeah, that would be my solution to your problem. I don't know if this dude that you're referring to or dudette was had never played the game before?
No, they claimed they played and that was their strategy. I was like, whatever.
Okay.
It was,
but
yeah,
cool. That doesn't seem to work well for them.
No, it just I feel like it ruins. It was a good time at MagFest, and I just feel like it ruins kind of the whole feeling, the vibe.
And there are occasions where like somebody will have a strategy that's a little bit weird or a little bit off kilter, and it works for them, or even it might not even appear to work for them, but they're having fun doing it. It's not ruining anybody else's good time, and I'll let it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And like I have any choice in the matter, but like that's the main objective, is to have fun. If you're ruining somebody else's good time, or just I'll say that as simple as possible. If you're ruining somebody else's good time, fuck you. Seriously, this is a purely optional participation.
Now, what if there are those who just like to watch the world burn, as they say, and how you deal with it if they're ruining somebody else's good time, but that in turn makes them have a good time.
I mean, that's a little selfish.
Yeah.
How do I deal with that?
Yeah.
Do I, if I know the person, and I mean, it depends on the setting. If this is like an open setting, like one of the meetups and just a bunch of people, and I probably just wouldn't play with them again. Like I'd suffer through the game, wait till it's done, and then they're done. Like I would just never. Blah. Yeah. If I know them, if I'm friends with them, generally I know that they're not normally like that, and I'll probably figure out what's going on. Or maybe I've just never seen them play games before, and it just brings out an entirely different part of their personality. In which case, quite frankly, I won't invite them to games anymore. Like, I don't have any problem with you having a good time. I have a problem with you having a good time at the expense of other people's having a good time.
Yeah.
Including myself. Like I'm not trying to be altruistic here. Like I also want to have a good time playing games. And if you're ruining my good time, then fuck you. I don't have to win to have a good time playing games, but I do have to not deal with assholes, I guess.
Yeah.
Or if I'm going to deal with assholes, make it a really super competitive game that I'm really good at and beat their ass in.
What? Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at your scores.
Man.
Beauty.
Ugh. Pound my chest.
He did pound his chest.
I did.
It was very...
It hurt me.
I was about to say it was very masculine, but you're like, oh.
So what's another one? What else?
I'm struggling to think of games that like I feel maybe it's I'm lucky and haven't come across too many.
Oh yes, you have. You have so many complaints. I thought this was going to be easy for you.
It's not triggering me. It's not. I'm coming up blank. You can come up examples, and I can.
Bad rules.
But I thought what?
That's a frustration in gaming.
Okay. I guess I was more so thinking of players.
No, I mean it doesn't have to be just players.
Okay.
That one's a killer to me. That one just murders like my goodwill.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of things that like.
Sorry, I when you initially brought up this topic, I was like, okay, he's talking about people. So that's why I was talking about like the issue playing that game.
Okay.
Is because it was with the person. Issues of games, yeah, there's a lot. I mean, there's. Yeah. So here's a generic issue. My frustration of games. There's just too many of them.
I know, but I mean, you've come up with solutions for these, and I feel like it doesn't always have to be like rah rah gripe rah rah negativity. Like, I would like to also share like our solutions.
Get rid of games. My two solutions for too many games: get rid of games and set time to play. But like, I'm going to play this game. I'm determined to play this game by the end of this month. So kind of like resolutions.
Okay.
I derailed this too much.
Maybe, Like, I mean, I think you touched upon something there, and I might steal it and go take it in a direction that maybe you were thinking.
Okay.
But
Steal it.
The one thing that does bother me, it frustrates me, because like when you set aside time to play a game, it's like it's a confined time.
Mhm.
Like it's not like, hey, we have all day. Who the fuck cares?
Yeah.
Like it's no, we have a couple hours.
Yeah.
And like it bothers me when we haven't decided what we're going to play by the time people started to show up.
Got it.
I don't know if you've noticed that
About you?
about me. I might have talked about it.
You've maybe I've probably picked on it not indirectly, and the fact that you've been like, what are we playing? What are we playing? And then like whenever you do your board games, you're like, we're playing this.
We're playing this.
I mean,
it has this many people playing it.
I will admit I'm getting better about that, but that more plays into like I have a lot of games. I'm trying to get this game played, and that's where it comes. Whereas before, I feel like I didn't have too many games, and there's just a lot of games I want to play, and I didn't know if any games would speak to other people. But
yeah, I like the notion, the theory behind letting people kind of like come together naturally and arriving at a consensus that, hey, we're going to play this game together.
Mhm.
And then everybody plays the game together and has fun, and it's kind of like this kumbaya moment. And that's never how it turns out. In practice, it always fails, like because people show up with like there's 10 games to choose from, and there's 7 people, and
they
like,
all want to play the same game.
and they all want to play the same game, and then like, well, nobody wants to split into separate groups, or like if they do, like, oh, I want to play that game, and now there's not enough people to play this other game, and
Or the one person knows how to play that game wants to play a different game.
right,
Yeah.
So it's what ends up being like this really good idea, and if it does work, then awesome.
Yeah.
Ends up wasting like an hour until basically somebody just says, well, why don't we play a short game
And
that everybody can play until we can figure it out, and then you just play that game 7 times in a row.
yeah.
And I'm not saying it's not fun, but it's not why we showed up.
And that's how you never play Good Cop, Bad Cop again. I regret buying that expansion because I don't
I
know
haven't
if
played it yet.
I've played it once. I don't know if it's going to get to the table again because I think we killed that game last year. We just played it so many
We
times.
did play it a lot.
Like-
But we also haven't been playing a lot of smaller games anymore, as often.
Yeah. I mean, I've tried sometimes, but not like come to my place. Let's play this small game.
Yeah.
But more so like at MagFest, like I had it, and people didn't seem that interested in Good Cop, Bad Cop.
Secret Hitler was the shit.
No, people want to play Antidote.
Oh yeah, that one too.
That one's running thin on me too. That one and Rick and Morty.
Rick and Morty is not run thin on me. That one's still a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean it's enjoyable, but I think part of the problem, and this goes back to the, I hesitate to say bad rules, but teaching the game can be kind of frustrating, especially because in Rick and Morty the end is like, whoever shoots the 4th reel, the other team wins, regardless of what team you're on.
Yep.
And it's just trying to explain some of the win conditions. But part of that could have been people were drunk and therefore couldn't pay attention.
I know how that is.
You know what? I was paying attention during Tyrants and Karmika, and I was near the end of near the Karmika. I was nowhere near close near Tyrants. But I knew how to play both of them. And we played them again. Well, we played Karmika again, and I knew how to play it.
Yeah.
I didn't know that I could put a card into my future life.
This is like 1/3 of your actions.
But I got so far. I almost won. I was about to win the second game. The first game, we were all tied until
Yeah.
somebody let you win.
Somebody did let me win.
And-
Just because they needed to get out of there and they didn't want to stop me.
Yeah, but I was playing. So is that a? I was thinking, it's like, oh, you're like what you were your example before. Is that a frustrating playing of drunk people?
It depends on the game. I was not frustrated playing that game with you
Karmika or Tyrants?
either.
Okay. Well, you also had worthy competition in Tyrants.
Yeah. If it makes you feel any better, Ben did not bring his game either.
I heard about that.
When Jai and I had our rematch, which was funny because our scores for that game were reversed. We were just 2 points shy. Out of a 100-point game, by the way. If you've never played Tyrants, they are very high-scoring games, and we were just 2 points with any.
I got 50.
Yeah.
They had 100 each.
Yeah, Ben had 70.
So he did a little better than me.
He did a little bit better, but still, it was the Giant CJ
My
game.
problems with Tyrants is completely. It's not even a real problem. It's my same problem I have with Star Realms.
Just deck builders in general.
Which is funny because Clank I had no problems, but I just feel like the difference between Clank and Star Realms and more so Tyrants is that there are some super vital cards. Not that they're super expensive, but if you don't get not summon, what was it? Promote. Mm-hmm. If you don't get the promote cards in Tyrants, your game is kind of screwed. And I don't recall seeing any promotes, or at least the ones I could afford. And so, whereas Clank, sure, you need movement cards, but I feel like at least maybe it's the luck of the draw.
Yeah.
So that's a frustrating there. But not all deck builders I've come across with that frustration. Every time I play Tyrants, with you, it's you buy all the promotions.
It's a very one-sided game.
And I'm just I have no promotions. So, all right, I'm just going to play these cards and move some guys around the board. So that's an issue. And it's not necessarily the balance; it's just the luck of the draw, and that's why.
There's a lot of that.
That I did get a promotion at the very end of that one game of Tyrants, but
it's too little too late.
Yeah, you guys are oh, I already have 20 cards in my promotion. I have 0 because I didn't get to use it.
Yeah, so playing games with drunk people are fine. It's just except. Generally, when you're playing with drunk people, you run the risk of them just losing interest.
Yeah,
and by the time they lose interest, they've checked out of the game. They start being on their phone. They pass out in the middle of the game. We've had it happen.
Yeah,
and it's frustrating.
Yeah, they either have to know the game also, or it has to be a super light game.
Yeah, I can't imagine playing half the games I own drunk. I can drink playing them.
Yeah.
I just won't. I couldn't get drunk and still manage. It wouldn't be fun for me. I don't play those games because I can do anything and just happen to come up with a viable solution. They require thought, and that's why I enjoy them. I don't think very well when I'm drunk.
I mean, that's very logical and makes sense.
So don't drink while playing games. That's a good solution.
Or do
Drunk
Drunk Quest.
Quest.
I probably
we did drink. No, we're going off topic, but we did drink playing Dragon and Flagon.
Oh, okay.
That was a lot of fun. Yeah, I would do that again.
You drinking play? What about Drunk Quest?
Yeah, it's a drinking game.
Yeah,
I'm not
it is.
A drinking game fan. Could make Dragon and Flagon into a drinking game, but I probably won't because I don't like drinking games.
CJ's a party pooper, apparently.
I am a party pooper.
I feel like it's too obvious just to say bad rules is a frustration in games because I feel like. Yeah, of course. Because if you can't figure out how to play the game, it's going to cause issues.
There are solutions. One, Board Game Geek.
Yeah.
People in the forums, super fucking helpful.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you know how to navigate the site. Ever since you enlightened me to that being a resource.
Mm-hmm.
If I can't understand a rule, that's one of the first places I go. Because before then, it was always super frustrating, and I would always worry, am I doing this wrong? Am I playing the game wrong? And there's some games I would play 3 times, and each time would be different because it was different interpretations of the same rule, and it's
Yeah.
like, which way is right? Like, I don't. Frustration.
The right way is the most fun way that you're having if you're at home.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I mean, if you're having fun, there's no wrong way.
Yeah.
But the game is intended to be designed
To play a certain way.
to play a certain way, especially like strategy games that have like thought behind them, and like that deep thinking. And if there's a certain thing that just breaks the game and makes it an exploit because of certain interpretation, then like that's why the term OP is there. It's just acknowledging that breaks the game. Bad game design is also a frustration for me.
And what do you necessarily mean by that? Like ideas in the gameplay?
No,
or-
so when I say design, I mean like more of like the graphic layout.
Okay, so how pretty it is.
It's the notion that like even though a game might be well designed from a mechanics point of view, it doesn't take into account that people who have like a natural way of thinking,
Mhm.
like intuition,
Mm.
will be playing it.
Yeah.
Like the places that you will put numbers on a card,
Uh-huh.
or where you put your score tracker on the board, or where like all of these things mean things, and for the most part, largely, everybody nails it. Like these things, there's a lot of best practices out there. People have done this for a long time. People see what they like and build on it, and then some people either didn't think about any of that stuff or discounted it, or they're new to the entire notion, and they just like put things in hard to reach places, like rules on the back of your player mat,
Okay.
like things that you have to print out, and normally the solution to that is like more Board Game Geek stuff, where people are like, yeah, fuck this thing, here's a printout of all the rules that you're going to need,
Yeah.
because they've put them in this hard to reach spot, like on the back of your player mat.
Yeah. Or the back of the instructions,
Yeah.
so only one person can have it.
Yeah. So, I mean, stuff like that. I think games are getting better about it.
Yeah.
But that's always a frustration. Bad rules, bad design. Not necessarily bad mechanics. If it's a bad mechanics, it just means it's a bad game.
Yeah.
And that doesn't frustrate me. It just means I'm not going to play it.
I don't know. We played a bad game that was pretty frustrating. Ninja All-Stars.
Yeah, well, we're never going to play that again. Ever. Ever.
Next drinking game.
Ugh. Anytime you fail a die roll, drink.
There you go.
We will be dead.
No, we'll get too drunk and then we'll be like, oh.
This game was dumb anyway. Table flip.
Back to the table flip. Oh. Do you get frustrated by the bad art, going back to that?
Depends how good the game is. Good art can mask bad mechanics just as well as good mechanics can mask bad art.
Yeah.
I generally, maybe not necessarily like, as I realize this about myself, not super proud, but I will generally appreciate a game with good art and bad mechanics over the latter. Like, and I should appreciate better mechanics because that's generally like the better game. But like, there's an aesthetic thing to it. I wouldn't say bad art frustrates me though. Like, if you're just doing a print and play, like I've played those, and then just like text on a white cutout thing and a shitty sleeve, and it's fine.
Yeah.
We've played it. It doesn't. It feels cheap.
Mm.
It feels unloved. Not by me, but by the person who made it. Like it feels.
Well, they might not have enough time to create the art.
That's fine.
They might get the basics down.
I understand.
So I feel like it's potentially unfair to call it unloved, because they're like, I'm not going to put I'm not going to put effort into the art.
It depends on what stage of the development it is.
Yeah.
If they're saying this game's done and I'm done developing it.
Oh yeah.
Then, yeah. Okay. Fine. I bet it's really fun.
Mm.
But whatever. Yeah. I don't know. It doesn't frustrate me. That's not a frustration.
Mm. I have one Kickstarter, or had. I got rid of the game. You're aware of the game. We don't have to mention it, but I was legit frustrated, just because I felt like it took so long to get, and then when I got it, I was like, "This is what I got." Like, it almost looked exactly what I saw on the Kickstarter, which is...
Oh, is this the game I gave you?
No. This is the game that I sold to Labyrinth to auction off.
Okay.
But it just... That was like one of my first Kickstarters ever getting, and I didn't expect it to come to me that way.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I feel about...
Tracker?
Oh, yeah, Tracker 2. Holy buckets, yeah. I fucking forgot about that one. That game wasn't frustrating, it was just simple. Like, too simple.
Mm.
Like, I expected a little bit more.
Did you pack those army men in there?
I did.
Okay. You still haven't played it.
No, it went to Labyrinth with the army men in it.
Oh, okay.
I think I got a good amount of money from it, too. Just because it's probably rare.
Yeah. No one's ever heard. It's like, oh, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
they might have been disappointed. No, I was thinking of Shakespeare.
Okay.
The one that I was like, here, take this off my hands, please, thank you.
Well, let's rephrase it. A game that he didn't try to play because felt like he got misled during the Kickstarter. He gave it to...
Okay, so that implies a level of malice that was definitely not there.
Okay.
I misinterpreted.
Okay.
And the way that the rules convey the same notion, while factually correct in the description of the game, do not make it what that thing is. I thought it was a backstabby game.
Yeah. You thought it was backstab, but it's kind of like, you can help this person or not help this person.
Right.
Yeah. No, that's on a list to be given away, traded away. Mainly because I don't necessarily feel like learning it.
That's another one where the game design of it frustrated me.
I wonder what part you're talking about.
Oh God. I
can only think of one.
Which one are you thinking of?
I'm only thinking of the game board.
That's part of it.
Yeah. So in this one, they have a game board, and then they have like a dial thing on it that CJ had to build himself.
Which is fine. I mean,
yeah, but
Fantasy Flight makes you do the same thing.
But the board no longer lays flat.
Right. Oh my God. Like,
doesn't close up flat, doesn't lay out flat anymore because there's cardboard and whatever on the underside and on the top side.
Yeah. Which, like, other games have managed to figure out how to do that. Put a dial on the board. Battlestar comes to mind. Not only do they make this really convoluted dial that forbids the board from laying flat, they also use trackers, like numbered trackers for each different kingdom. 1 through 8 would be a perfect thing for a goddamn dial, except they give you a D8 to lay on the kingdom and hope nobody knocks the goddamn thing and rolls the goddamn dice. Like, I was like, oh, interesting. I got dice. I didn't think this was a dice game. It's not a dice game. You use the dice as a tracker. That's...
Kemet does the same thing.
Huh?
Kemet does the same thing. It's like Temples.
Haven't played Kemet.
Okay.
And now maybe I don't need to because I have Cry Havoc anyway. I'm still probably gonna play Kemet. I still want to.
Yeah, I'm anxious. I'm kind of jonesing to play it, just so I can try to convince myself not to buy it.
And I'm not done with this game, by the way. Shakespeare, fucking design, like half the symbols like were difficult to like figure out what they were doing. Like there's not intuitive.
So Ninja All Stars all over again.
A little bit had that thing going for it. Also, they give you these these army trackers, these little cardboard chits, which you will be picking up and dropping off on the board a lot, except they've made them flat, small.
You can't pick
cardboard.
them up.
No, you cannot pick them up. If you're going to do something like that, make them wooden blocks. Make them easy. Make them tactile.
Or thicker cardboard.
Wooden blocks. I mean, there's wooden blocks everywhere in games. They can't be terribly expensive to make.
True.
Like,
I mean, I hate to compare it, but Fantasy Flight just uses thick cardboard, and those are easy to pick up.
yes. But those, yeah, they have like shapes and edges and
Yeah.
stuff like this. This is just like they were so small. So small. They were smaller than this.
For those who don't know, it's that end, the circular end part of a 3/4 headphone jack.
Yeah. Where you plug in the eighth inch.
Yes.
Yeah. It was smaller than that round bit.
I feel like at that point you just like stick your finger on it, press really hard, and stick up, and then it was like stick to your finger. Like, oh, there you go, got it.
I mean, that's.
But then you press on the board, and then like the whole board falls apart, and you're like, oh, look, it's no longer a 6, it's a 5.
So that was a frustrating game, just in general. And there was no fixing that. That was the most frustrating part about it.
You could buy cubes.
I could buy cubes, but then then there was the dial, and there was the board, and there was the dice trackers. Like there was so much wrong. Like it was just easier to not play it.
And pass it off as a Christmas present.
Oh, you like Shakespeare? Here you go.
It wasn't just Shakespeare; it was Kill Shakespeare.
Yeah, it was Kill Shakespeare.
So
comic's still good.
Yeah, it's still.
It's funny. IDW does not advertise that game on their site anymore.
I wonder if it's still available, or if they just kind of like dropped the license.
Neither would surprise me. I don't think they did a second printing. You might have an out-of-print game.
Oh, so I might have a very rare game that people would want to give me lots of money for.
Perhaps.
Dun dun dun.
Not if they listen to this podcast, they won't.
Or they might want to buy it despite it. They might like, that game's probably really good. Let me try it out and prove them wrong.
Maybe. It might be good. I've never had the options telling them otherwise. I'm not saying the game's bad. I don't have the opinion. I can't have the opinion. I've never played it.
You want me to go upstairs and get it?
No.
We could be playing it right now.
We could be playing it right now. So yeah, that was a lot of frustration. And
there's more frustration to that game than just that.
No, I mean, I think I expressed most of all the frustration I had for that game.
Got it.
And generally, like, there are ways of just working around those things, like making a little, augmenting what the box came in to hold, like, the hard to handle bits, like little Tupperware containers, or like, there's solutions to these frustrations, and generally people don't even think about them. They're like, oh, I just need to do this, and I've fixed it.
Yeah.
But I think for first-time gamers or people new to the game ownership, or maybe they play a lot of games but don't teach a lot of games, like, they might not know, like, these are just tricks of the trade.
Yeah. Plastic bags. Oh, plastic bags.
Yeah, go out and buy yourself
500.
for the craft bags, not the Ziploc, but
I go for Ziploc.
Really?
What craft bags are you talking about?
Jewelry bags.
Like with drawstring and all?
Nope. Like they still have. When I say Ziploc, I mean the brand name.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, when I think Ziploc, I think like the plastic seal at the top.
They have the plastic seal at the top.
You can go Amazon. You can get like 500 for like $10 or something like that. I thought.
Yeah, Joanne said the same thing. I 300 for 5.
Yeah, something like that.
But yeah, if you're buying games, oh my god, get one of those. They will save your life.
Here's another frustration that kind of goes along with that, and I feel like we've harped on this for a long time in the past.
You're I don't know where you're leading to this, but I've already got one like in the chamber. So when you're done,
inserts, and because it goes along with like
you are
Ziplocs.
talking about exactly what I was talking about.
Like, sure, the inserts are super. Like Bloodborne has a nice insert, but not everything fits in there. And then the stuff that fits in there, I hate inserts that are made to only hold the game perfectly upright, and if you twist it a little bit, everything falls out of place. Or like the here's a pool for cards, but as soon as you open them from the vacuum seal, they don't fit.
I think there are a lot of games that have really sweet inserts.
Yes.
And they are sweet up until the expansion comes out.
Yes.
Or they are sweet up until you want to sleeve your cards. Or they are sweet as long as you do like keep your box like level.
Yeah.
This is an interesting problem because a lot of times when I run into this issue, and it like gets me to the point of frustration, I just rip the
insert out,
and I was like, fuck it, I don't want to deal with this anymore.
Yeah. And
then I feel bad because it's a really nice insert. Like they put it's vacuum molded and they put a lot of effort into it, but like. We'll talk about Tyrants. Like that's a nice insert. Like they put a lot of thought in where the compartments are, with one exception. And you've heard me bitch about this, and I will never stop bitching about this. You can't sleeve the fucking cards. You can't do it. They won't fit back in the mold. It pisses me off because I want to take care of their game, my game, and I can't. Like and the art on the cards, like it's one of those things. Like I feel like the more you shuffle, and you're playing a deck builder, so you're going to be shuffling a lot.
Yeah,
it's going to wear out the art. I want it to keep looking fresh. I don't want it to get marked. Sounds anal, but I played these games a lot.
Yeah.
In this like related, but also an example of done well. Clink. Also a beautiful insert.
Yeah.
And they built the insert explicitly to fit the cards exactly if you sleeve them. Like, it blew my mind because when I got them and I was like, wow, this is a lot of room in here. What the hell? Like, there's like 2 extra pockets in addition to the one that all of the cards fit into. It's like, did they make room for the expansion? This is weird. And then I was like, well, cool, let me sleeve them. And then like as I was putting them away, I was like, oh my god, if you put that pack and that pack together, they fit exactly in that slot right there. Every card fits perfectly. Like the clouds parted, angels came and blowing trumpets. It was
Jackman face.
Yeah, it was awesome. And I feel really dumb getting so excited about like that. But I'm really tempted to take a knife to the Tyrants and just cut out the bottom of one of the molds so I can like sleeve the cards and stick them in there.
Well, I mean, when the expansion comes, you might just have to trash the whole insert.
Yeah, that's also going to bother me. And that expansion comes out this month.
Zaya had a pretty decent insert. Like it was perfect for the cards, but they just had to like pile. It was perfect for the cards, the space tiles, and the money. Everything else just kind of had like a spot. But now I have an expansion coming. I'm going to. I don't know. Probably going to throw out the whole insert.
That makes me feel bad.
Yeah. I mean, I might toy with like, okay, I'll take all these inserts out and see if I can just put the expansion in like an open space and pile everything. But we'll see.
Is that a frustration? Like worrying about where you're going to put expansions after you buy them?
It's half the reason why I'm holding off on getting the Cold Express expansion, because I would have to either deconstruct and reconstruct the trains every time I play. Mm-hmm. But like I managed to get the first expansion, which I haven't played. That's the other problem. I haven't played the expansion yet, but that is a factor into like getting the. And there's 2 more expansions coming. I mean, there's one out and another one coming. So that's, I mean, so part of the issue with removing the inserts, it's partly the collector in me, and then second partly since I've actually started getting rid of games,
wanting to.
If I for some reason choose to get rid of Zaya or Colt Express, it's going to be like, oh, this is going to, people are not going to want to pay or buy it at all if it doesn't have the original insert, because like some people are like that. Yeah. Like Welcome to the Dungeon. It's a light, small game that I just have it just for fun times here and there. But if I ever chose to get rid of it, I don't have the box anymore, because I just put it in like a picture thing. And so unless like I sell that picture thing away,
this might sound really, really anal, but I've even the expansions that I've emptied out of the box, I've kept the empty box. Like they're all piled in the shelf in the closet. Mm-hmm. So when I went to go like bring stuff to Labyrinth, I like took that empty box out and kind of like rubber banded it to the other box. Like the expansion's in there, I swear to God. But that box is empty in case they want to separate it again.
I need to go through it. I put some stuff in it, but I still have the Ambassador's expansion to Among the Stars. But like I had like some of the blanks Tetris pieces from Zaya, and then I have some of the stands, the 32 millimeter or whatever from Shadows of Brimstone.
So let's bring this back around to the topic. Frustrations. What is your solution to frustrations with, I guess, is it expansions? Like, or is it just fitting stuff in the box?
My solution is plastic baggies, which I haven't done for last Friday, but that's an example. It is everything. It had place for everything and then tons of extra space, but all these, like, it's just big open pockets for all these little tiny chits just everywhere. So I needed plastic baggies is my answer, because I tried doing foam core, but once again you can't tilt it sideways, which is frustrating. Yeah. But like plastic baggies is the salvation to inserts.
To all gamers everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, Eldritch Horror ripped out the insert, even though it's just cardboard. It's not really anything there. But like everything has its own plastic bag in my Eldritch Horror. Everything, and I even went as far. I labeled Imperial Salt, all the baggies Imperial Salt, but not Eldritch Horror. Like you can clearly see what bags they are, but plastic baggies saved my frustration.
Pro tip.
Yeah, except for the games I still kept the insert.
Yeah, there are a couple of games where I'm just like, insert, we'll keep the plastic baggies. I don't know. That's a personal choice, I think.
Plastic baggies with the insert.
Well, so like Mare Nostrum, where they have like the little divots where the coins fit into. You can't put the little coins in the bag and put the bag in the insert. You have to just leave them empty and unused and unloved.
I mean, is that a bad thing that these designers are like, we are making this game as a showpiece? And you like remove the lid, and it's like, oh, you can't turn this game over ever. Like, is that? Do you think is that frustrating?
I think. Well, it depends on what the intent of the insert is. If it's just purely there to store, it might be a little bit much. I would really like people to use the game box itself as part of the game area. Honestly, and this might be getting to like a different topic altogether, but like, if you have like an organizational method in your game insert, incorporate that organizational method of the game insert in with how you play the game. Like, have a place where you can stack your cards in the game insert, so you're just reaching over into the insert and picking out the cards. Some places do this. Some games I think are intended to do this, and it's just easier to take the box out and put it on the ground and just have them sitting there or whatever.
Sheriff of Nottingham.
Sheriff of Nottingham, Portal.
Oh yeah,
I thought that was really neat.
Yeah,
how they use the game insert to like as part the makeshift incinerator. Like, I need to play that game again. Honestly,
well,
like,
you have it.
I do have it. I just there were a couple of rules that were mistaught.
Yeah.
To us.
But if you've been listening to our podcast since Origins, you're familiar with that. Yeah. I feel like most of the games that use, I mean, I guess I'm thinking more of like use the box as part of the game. I feel like that could be frustrating because what happened if you damage the box? Like there's some where like the lid of the box
anyway. Like, to be honest, like what are you going to store it in? You're not playing the game more than you're playing it.
True. Well,
just putting that out there.
Now I feel sad about all my games. Now, I feel like I need to have I should always have a game pretending I'm playing it. And like,
you want to go play a game now?
Kind of. It's been a while. What was the last game? Was it MagFest? MagFest.
I played Star Realms with Erin the other day. She murdered me.
I'm thinking about getting rid of my Star Realms game, actually.
They're really easy to get rid of.
Yeah.
Honestly. And honestly, like, here's the thing about, like, I bought extra decks to that.
Yeah.
Just give them away. It's a fucking $10. I don't care. And they will be loved. That game is loved by anybody who touches it. Because it's easy to learn, and it's easy to carry around, and it's easy to play. And it's fun to play.
It's like, I haven't played it. Last time I played it was on my phone. And it's like the deck box is kind of like sitting in a corner under stuff.
Weeping.
Like I still have some promos I haven't inserted into the game, and now I don't even know. Like I forget if I think I have two decks. It's kind of like one deck has promos, one doesn't, and I don't know which one's which.
Frustrations.
Ugh.
How are you gonna solve this?
Get rid of it. Just be like, hey, there's some promos and two decks in here. You sort it out. I gave you sleeves. Even printed out stupid. There's another thing that frustrated, like life trackers, especially deck builders. It's like they just, you have a pen and paper, right? That's frustrated. Freaking last Friday is like, you can play this game, but you have to have pen and paper. You don't have pen and paper, you can't play this game.
I mean, secret movements are like that. The only secret movement game that I've played that is not like that is Fury of Dracula, which was I thought it was really ingenious how they did it.
Do you just have a card of your location?
Yes, essentially, like they had a card tracker, and like you kept your figure in one place, the cards moved.
Okay.
And so like your cards would shift down, you place a new card down. You just had a deck of all of the locations you could be, which did mean you couldn't pass over your previous path.
So you couldn't go one space and go back.
Right, because that card was already on the table. You don't have duplicates.
Interesting.
I really liked Fury of Dracula, namely because I murdered all of the hunters.
Not alone is supposed. It's a one hidden movement, and I believe you hold a card, and that's your location.
Not alone?
Yes.
I really want to play that.
I've heard great things. It's only available for pre-order one place online and nowhere else.
Amazon.
Oh, is it available on Amazon or just
March.
pre-order? Oh, March. Okay. So
it's got $12 shipping.
That's me rolling my eyes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm intensely interested in playing Not Alone. And it's not secret movement though; it's simultaneous play.
It's hidden movement. Sorry.
Yeah.
It is hidden movement though.
Kind of. It's simultaneous play.
One person's a freaking monster hunting everybody down.
I know, but like,
it's simultaneous play, but it's still hidden movement.
Kind of.
Because
like,
you don't know where that person's moving.
Until everybody reveals.
Do they reveal?
They do.
Okay, maybe I need to look it up. Maybe I don't want this game anymore.
The game looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, I've heard nothing but good things.
Before you buy it, let's talk.
Oh, there's a cop car driving.
It's really loud. Is this door shut?
I don't know. It might not be. Is the handle up and down? Nope. Door is not shut.
Door is not shut.
I'll move the handle to the left and then pull it and then move the handle down.
Nope.
That explains so much. Anyways, yeah, there's that game and well, Adrenaline's not hidden movement. We're not talking about hidden movement.
Spectre Ops. I never played Spectre Ops.
I heard there's other better hidden movement games than Spectre Ops. Last Friday that's just pure frustration.
Yeah, so that's interesting. You had a very frustrating game playing that game. I did not have that same level of frustration.
But you still had frustration, just not as much.
It was a hard game.
Yep.
It is my brain was on fire playing that game. Like, if you could not smell smoke, I would be impressed. Granted, it was also like day 4.
It was Saturday of
Saturday
MagFest.
night.
MagFest starts Thursday.
Yeah.
We were there nice and early.
And
it was like 11. We started the game at 11 p.m.
Yeah. And I'd been drinking whiskey for most of the day.
What? That doesn't happen.
At MagFest? Never.
No alcohol beyond this point.
Yeah, well.
You don't own me.
So yeah, I had fun. I think I did well for my first time. I definitely know how to do it better next time. But you had a frustrating experience.
Yeah.
So what, aside from fuck this game, I'm getting rid of it, what was your frustration? What do you think will be the resolution to that frustration?
I did not feel the maniac was... You didn't get the impression that you were a powerful maniac who can kill anybody. I felt like...
The first chapter you do. You just...
I will admit, I set up... And that's another frustration. Is like people of like on Board Game Geek is like, this is how you have to set it up if you want to try to win. And so like if there's only one way to set it up, then it's kind of like, what's the point of having you set it up?
That's what I was afraid of. Like as I was thinking about it, it's like there's optimal ways of doing this.
Yeah.
Which means if everybody knows what the optimal ways of doing it are, then
the players will be able to avoid that. So yeah, that's the fact that like people are saying you have to do it X way. Otherwise, there's no chance of you winning. But like, I felt like I was just super ineffective, and that's understandable in some games. But when it's a lot versus one, that one should be more powerful. I
also agree. I think there's ways that you could beef him up.
I wonder if I don't know if it would be too OP, but like be able to acquire tokens more easily.
I think that would be an option. I think that would be a good option, actually.
Because you only get tokens if you just like straight up murder everybody on their team.
And there's only 2 of the 4 where you can actually do that. 2 of the 4 chapters.
Yes.
You can actually do that.
So like you have to be like on your game and just barely lose in order to get more tokens.
Yeah.
Which
and there's nothing that you can do to prevent people from like just clearing your board when you can't kill them. Like I think that would be an easy house rule. And we haven't really talked about house rules. Like that's a really easy like frustration avoidance. Like, oh, here's this frustrating thing. Let's just not do that.
On chapter 2, chapter 2 and 4 you can't clear corpses.
You can't clear corpses, or clearing corpses has nothing to do with the terror rating.
But then how do you generate terror rating if corpses aren't included?
How long the hunter goes hidden. Now 4 doesn't really matter,
Yeah.
but maybe.
Well, I mean, it does matter because corpses act as wall blocks. So if they can't clear them, it's kind of like, oh, you ran into a wall. So I mean, and there's frustration right there. Like when you're doing the house rules and just trying to keep it balanced. Where like I could think of a bunch of things that changed for last Friday, but how many of them are actually going to be good rules? And the fact that unless you're doing single chapters, which I feel like you don't get the full experience, you're not going to be able to try these rules that much.
Maybe. I mean, just fuck it. Give it a shot. I mean, we, on a whim, decided to, like, house rule the fuck out of Nuns on the Run. So...
Yeah, I need to... But at least those are just minor changes.
They were not minor changes. Turning the thing into a flashbang and just, like...
Well, that was OP. That was... Next time I play it, I'm going card sleeves and, like, not everyone's going to be a flashbang. That was a bit much... but it wasn't as... I don't know if maybe because it wasn't as long, but it's...
That's the other... Yeah, I think that's the biggest frustration of last Friday, is that it's a long game anyway.
Mm.
And if you're the maniac, you didn't set up the first chapter
correctly.
Perfectly.
Yeah.
Perfectly.
Yeah.
The rest of the game blows because you have no other opportunity in getting terror back because the second chapter you can't kill anybody.
Yeah.
Third chapter you only can kill like...
You can kill people.
You can kill people, but half as often because they can't die if they run into you. You have to run into them.
Yeah. Yeah, the ping pong effect was terrible.
So there's that. If you don't have a first opening game, you have a long, shitty game as the maniac.
Which is, I think, is an issue, and it's a huge frustration because, and like, as you said, the more you play that, the more people know that. It just creates a whole nother problem. It's like, okay, well, this perfect placement is not a solution. What are you going to do? Can you do anything?
Honestly, you know what I would do? Not play with all the keys.
Yeah. Randomly
discard 2 tens.
So only 3 keys?
Potentially you could have all 5 keys and have no corpses, which would suck.
But, I mean, if you're... So would you randomly take them out and then look at what you have and then place them?
Yes.
Okay.
Or intentionally leave 2 out, and you get to choose which 2 you leave out.
You pick 2. Which, you're going to pick keys.
Of course.
So should we go back? Randomly pick 2 keys not to include.
Yeah.
I think, that would be a good start. Maybe next time, if there is a next time.
It'll be next time. I think that game has potential. But so, bring the negative back around to positive. Like, there's solutions to these frustrations.
Potentially,
and even sometimes they'll take time. Sometimes they take experimentation.
Yeah.
But there is always the opportunity for something to be not as shitty as you first thought it was going to be.
I mean, I will admit that playing as a counselor was slightly better, but that's just because
you saw my pain.
Yeah. I mean, I was aware of that, and I feel like the counselors are just as powerful as the maniac, which is a huge red flag.
Yeah, that first chapter is really like the real chapter.
Yeah,
that's the real chapter of the game. It's also not only the shortest chapter of the game. All everybody gets in their fucking house like way too goddamn quick.
And like in the what's it called, the maniac can only axe 1 house. So if you took away 2 keys, you just like, I'm just gonna axe 1 house, and so that means there's only 2 houses left. That means somebody has to die. Which is, that's. I mean, I guess to play test that, you just have to play 1 chapter.
Yeah.
So I don't know, and still frets me. I'm still not looking forward to be. I sort of am, and unless you're here, I'm gonna have to play the maniac because most people are I mean, somebody like, I really want to be a maniac. You're like, go, okay.
Yeah, I'm sure we can get anybody that played the game with us last time to do it, like Christina or Sam. Or I'm volunteering people that are not me.
Christina came into it late. She didn't start it off.
I thought she started off left and then came back.
I forget. That's neither here nor there. But frustrations.
Yeah.
Board games have them.
But so yeah, I think we could wrap up. But
yeah.
like, what do you think is the hardest, the most difficult frustration to solve?
Honestly, and I don't want this to sound like a cop out, but like finding the time / people to play all these games.
Yeah,
it's like because everybody freaking seems to have a life and doing things.
And what, games aren't life to them?
I know they just like they should drop it. You're playing a board game. No, that's what we're doing, and it's life obligations getting in the way of games. That's just because like I want to play more games, but I only have so much time, and then finding a place to play, which I feel like
struggle's real.
Yeah, I feel like this is a cop out answer.
No, I think that's a good answer. I think that's a frustration that a lot of people feel,
Mm-hmm.
Or at least people who love games feel.
Yeah.
Maybe if you have the luxury of actually like having a game night every Saturday with your friends.
Yeah.
Then, well, fuck you. We don't know. Not everybody has life that easy.
Oh yeah. Oh man, if only that would be great. Just like every X night, just like we're just gonna play board games. Man.
I used to have that. That used to be a thing.
I will admit, at the beginning,
Go ahead.
At the beginning of the meetup, it was like every Sunday at my townhouse where I was living. It was like every Sunday there was a meetup.
I would say so we used to do D&D on Sundays, and then
Uh-huh.
D&D just kind of fell through, and we turned that into Arkham Horror Night. And so for every Sunday, we got together and played Arkham Horror. We got awesome at that game, by the way. So when people are talking about like Arkham Horror is hard, I'm like, ah.
Well, I mean, if you spend like half a year playing it every
we
Sunday,
played a lot. We probably played each god twice, like that. There's what, 8, 9 gods?
I've never played Arkham.
Okay, there's a lot.
Only played Eldridge, and I'm so many expansions behind. I'm never going to catch up, and I'm dealing with that frustration.
But yeah, I also feel it. I don't know if it is like my willingness to give up time that I have other things, because I also have a life,
Mm-hmm.
or if it's a frustration of like finding that time, that specific time where I have off and somebody else has off.
Yeah.
And we're both interested in playing games and nothing else is going on. That's a rarity.
Mm-hmm. The one caveat adding to mine is, I guess, an addendum would be going back with finding people and time to play, but like finding people that can be dedicated to do a full campaign of something. Yeah. That's worse, because you got like, all right, you 4 people, we're all going to play this game. We're going to continue playing it. If you bow out, we can't freaking finish this.
Yeah. I mean that and this. I had the same frustration trying to get Through the Breach off the ground.
Yeah.
Like, I know I kind of feel bad because I'm like second season, and like I'm just not ready for this with the story yet, and I know I'm the one that's slowing everything down this time, and I feel like everybody's gonna lose interest as a result. But like that, it took us 8 months to finally get a regular game group.
Yeah.
And it took a lot of experimentation. Like, how are we going to do this? How many people are we going to do it with? How are we going to schedule? There were solutions to that, though.
Yeah.
I think we don't use it as much now, But I think it's still a really good tool. Is Slack. As long as we have engaged members, like that tool's amazing. I really like using that to schedule things and like communicate with people. Like, hey, I'm gonna do it this night, and blah 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 blah. Once kind of craziness settles down, I will probably be back on there and try and get people like amped up again. Google Calendar, God bless it. Like automatic notifications. You can see who's gonna be there.
So I have an issue with Google Calendar. It's like doesn't always work. Like I will put like
it always works.
No. Like
on your Apple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I insert on my phone, put a calendar thing into my phone,
okay,
it will not put into like my calendar so other people can't see it.
Okay. Yes, that there's an iPhone to Google Calendar fuck up.
Yeah.
That's really frustrating.
But like I'm putting it on it says it's on the correct calendar, and like I've had issues where like, oh, I didn't see that on the calendar. Like, well, I put it there. Look,
yeah.
like, oh.
Or I will send invites to people, and if they accept it through the Google Calendar on their iPhone, they won't actually show up anywhere, and they'll forget about it. But yeah,
technology is frustrating.
Technology is frustrating. God, fuck technology.
And then we'll have
do anything.
Board games with technology. Go Arcana.
Yeah.
All the games.
All these games.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I think using technology to kind of get around the planning bits has been really helpful for me, and like the communication and just finding a pool of local gamers, getting them all in the same spot digitally. People use chat room or email just as effectively. I've learned to love Slack. I think it's just a little bit more dynamic. Other people disagree in our group even, but that's fine. They can come up with something else if they want.
Yeah, I mean, I find myself not always checking in or forgetting to check in. Yeah. And sometimes when I have my watch, I don't get all the notifications. So I'm just like,
yeah, struggles.
And then there's people who never show up, and then people with the name that every time you type in board games decides to come up.
Yeah.
This is frustrating. So frustrating.
I would say my biggest frustration, unsolvable frustration, or difficult to solve frustration, is still just people. Like finding the wrong person for the wrong game.
Yeah.
People who, like... Sometimes I almost wish that if they identify themselves, like, with they're not vested in the game, like, it'd be easier if they were just like, you know what, I'm not feeling it. And just bow out. Like even if mid-game, I would rather that than just effing off for the rest of the game, and potentially slowing things down or making the game worse. Like at the very least, like you might still have potential of starting over. You might even, depending on the game, you might even be like, cool, we're just playing a 3-player game now as opposed to 4.
Mm-hmm.
Like it might not change the dynamic enough. But having that fourth non-vested person there might fuck it up enough.
Yeah.
And that's a really hard thing to do. Like that's, I mean, how do you express that to somebody? Like, dude, if you're not in this, just fuck off.
You know, I've actually had, I want to say, a good couple of times that happened at the meetup. Where like, they'll play a couple hands and they'll just leave. They're like, all right, I'm leaving. Just like, oh, okay. It's just, and
did that screw everything up though?
Luckily, they weren't like a heavy game. It wasn't like Lords of Zeta and somebody left, or
okay.
It wasn't like, I can't think of anything. It wasn't a heavy game.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still, luckily, I think it was early on enough in a meetup that somebody could just jump in.
Yeah.
So, But I feel like that could be quite detrimental, depending on at what point they left.
I mean, even a game like Eclipse, if somebody wants to drop out, you're just cool. Just slide the rest of their empire to the side. And
Yeah. I mean, there are games that are easy jump in, jump out. Shadows of Camelot. Last Friday is because regardless of how many people you're playing, you always control all 5 counselors.
Yeah.
So
Tyria Dracula's the same way.
Yeah.
I think there's more games that will allow people to drop out of the game mid-game and not break it, as long as you had enough players to continue playing. Like, it didn't require a minimum of so many.
Not your precious blood rage. 4-3. Let's wreck it. Let's ruin it.
Would wreck it.
You just have to flip it over.
That's it. Generally, when I'm playing those games, it's not. It's people that I know are going to be vested, and if they show up drunk, fuck. Like, I will play something else.
Odin, my hammer. On that note, that will be the end of episode 30 of I Can Deal, NT Board Games official podcast. This has been our frustration episode. First episode.
Your thing just broke.
Oh, I guess I get a new stand. I need a new stand. I don't have a new stand. Yeah, that's.
I'm just gonna hold this.
First episode of season 2. Woo!
Do we get a new fancy intro now with season 2?
I think so. We will find out a little later.
I mean, I would know. I totally listened to it before we.
No, there was never an intro before. But like, I want to make sure the person who created the intro has given me his blessing to use it.
And yeah,
I don't want to just start using it. Like, what? Like,
blessing and rights. That would be awesome.
Yes.
Permission.
Yes. But I think, anyways, yeah. We ended up missing. We didn't have a podcast from MagFest, so that's why you didn't get anything, because we didn't podcast.
Yeah. Too drunk. Too many games played.
We also weren't near each other a whole lot. Outside of like a couple games, I feel like we didn't.
We had a lot of people.
There was a lot of people
separately like that we could hang out with.
There was always somebody to really play a game with, but like I feel like we didn't play that many games together. It wasn't like the previous 2 years where like we just sat at the table and played Telestrations.
Day.
Yeah, and Good Cop, Bad Cop, and Antidote.
Yeah.
And that was with Mike and your friends being all drunk.
That was with Mike and my friends. That was us with being drunk too. They're just louder when they're drunk.
Yes, yes. But they weren't. They didn't play games with us.
Play games with me.
Well then. Anyways, our social media. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, NT Board Games. Don't forget our website, ntboardgames.com.
And if you guys listen and you want to interact, if you guys have any game frustrations that you didn't hear on the show, or have a different solution to frustrations that we've expressed, let us know on Twitter.
Yeah.
At NT Board Games.
Yeah.
Yes, I got that right.
That is correct. And you can follow CJ at CJFHTAGN.
That's correct.
And then at Adam Dork. That both of those are viable, but NT Board Games. And and then lastly, if you weren't aware, we have a Patreon. So if you like what you hear, whether this, RPGs, written words,
this shit costs money, yo. This is all out of pocket. And because we love it.
Yes, and it's actually coming up on the 1-year anniversary in a couple days.
Woo, birthday.
Woo, yeah. We should definitely make sure we have another podcast before then.
Birthday episode.
Maybe we'll be a guest. Who knows? But anyways, that will do it for this time. Thanks. See ya.
Let's play some games.